Greetings, everyone, and I hope you've been having a fabulous experience so far at SAHM 2021. It's been such a joy to engage with so many of you over the past 2 days. And I did want to thank Carol, Tarina, and Sheila for your wonderful presentation about the Journal of Adolescent Health and the Intersections contest winners. I know everyone will agree that those videos were incredibly inspiring. And now it's my honor to introduce to you Dr. David Bell, SAHM's incoming president. Dr. Bell is a professor in the Department of Pediatrics and the Heilbronn Department of Population and Family Health at Columbia University Medical Center. And since 1999, Dr. Bell has served as medical director of the Young Men's Clinic at Columbia. In that capacity, he delivers primary care to adolescent and young adult men, and he's a strong advocate for the right of young men to have access to high quality and respectful services. Dr. Bell lectures and leads workshops nationally on young men's health issues. He serves on Mayor de Blasio's Sexual Health Education Task Force. He's also a co-founder and chair of the board for the Partnership for Male Youth. This is an organization whose mission is to partner with youth and organizations to improve the health of adolescent and young adult men. Internationally, he has worked with colleagues in the Dominican Republic, St. Lucia, and Uganda, and he currently serves on the advisory board for the Men's Active Positive Presence in the Lives of Children, or the MAP project, which will be implemented in 5 countries in Africa. He also serves on the board of directors for Promundo. This is an international organization that promotes gender equality and violence prevention by engaging men and boys in partnership with women and girls. And finally, on a personal level, I have had the great privilege of knowing David for many years, and he's become a dear friend and a cherished colleague. But what I've also come to appreciate over the years, as he and I have served together on the board of directors, actually twice, is that he is a brilliant leader. David is a true servant leader. He never places himself in the center. Instead, he always places other people there. And what that means for you is that as your SAHM president, he will always be looking for ways to respond to your needs and interests as SAHM members. David is also a leader who is fantastic at building trust through his powerful sense of honesty and integrity and his ability to build authentic connections with others on his team. David is someone who leads from his heart with affection and with compassion for his fellow SAHM members. And finally, David is someone who's always seeking to learn from others. And this comes from his true humility and his deep curiosity. There's a saying that the best leaders are the best learners, and no one exemplifies that better than David. And now it is a joy for me to introduce you to SAHM's 51st president, Dr. David Bell.
Thank you, Jessica. God, you already got me crying. Good morning, SAHM. I am honored to follow in the awesome immediate footsteps of Jessica Kahn and to have had the privilege of working and benefiting from the incredible wisdom, leadership, and advocacy of Jessica and Maria Trent. There are so many, too many to name, that have supported me in my career journey. A big thanks to all of you. Most of all, I'm grateful and honored to have been elected president of SAHM. As the first African-American male to be SAHM's president, I am proud to share the honor of being a first this year with Madam Vice President Harris and Dr. Rachel Levine, the first transgender nominee to a US government post, one of our own. As I thought about what I wanted to say to you today, I couldn't break free from talking about the year that we have experienced, even as we look forward to a brighter future for us and for our adolescents. Since I was young, I've always cherished hearing others' stories. I felt I learned something about myself every time I heard someone else's story. We ask our patients to tell us their stories in a certain form every day, and we learn from them. We learn of their successes and regrets. We learn about what has influenced them. We learn of their brilliance and resilience. It is important that we share our stories appropriately so we can connect and learn from each other. Ibram Kendi, the esteemed author of How to Be an Anti-Racist, shared his story of personal growth to the greatest good of impacting our collective agenda to be anti-racist. As we discussed in the networking session led by our diversity committee yesterday, we now have an active agenda to be anti-racist, and none of us, including the author, as he states, can settle with the passive state of not being a racist. I invite us to tell our stories, to grow closer, and to increase our connectedness. I invite us to do this so that we can make this world a better place, one day at a time. What an incredible, truly unbelievable year we have all experienced. The losses, the confinement and disconnectedness, while at the same time the forced connectedness of immediate families for better or for worse. Although the story of the pandemic has yet to be finished, as I reflect on the year, we have weathered some dark times, but there are lights to a brighter future. Many of us probably know someone that lost their lives due to COVID. Many of our patients have lost loved ones. One of my patients has lost 5 loved ones. Worst of all, some may not have been able to spend any time with our loved ones, mothers and fathers, sisters and brothers, sons and daughters, before their deaths or properly grieve with services due to social distancing measures. Let's take a moment of silence for the 520,000 plus lives that have been lost to COVID and the many Black and brown lives lost to an unjust police system, not only this past year, but in the past century. The toll of the pandemic on our adolescent and young adult lives is far from being finalized. For many adolescents, their social, emotional, and mental well-being has been impacted by the pandemic. This traumatizing time at this developmental stage may have long-term consequences across their lifespan. As humans, most of us are wired to be social. Physical and social distancing is and was hard to do. I miss not seeing all of you at this meeting. I missed dancing. A shout out to our international colleagues for their event tonight. Although I'm a bit skeptical about a Zoom dance party, I'm looking forward to tonight. For adolescents, having and being with friends is an important social and developmental aspect of their lives. If this was hard for us, imagine how difficult it is and was for those adolescents who have had to physically distance themselves from their friends, from their boyfriends and girlfriends, and from their family members. Sometimes even their own household. How stressful. Physical distancing can feel as if one is placing life on hold. The truth is that the clock keeps ticking. Many of our adolescents and young adults did not celebrate birthdays in ways they would have liked. Many did not have graduation ceremonies, proms, or homecoming events. I am proud to say my son graduated from college, but his class chose to not to have even a virtual graduation. It was a missed opportunity. I don't think the excitement of that moment can be captured again. Many of our young adults and many families of adolescents lost wages or their jobs entirely. For our adolescents, the story will unfold on the toll of economic insecurity on their development, academic achievement, and health outcomes. The magnitude of the decreased access to healthy foods, safe transportation, and housing has still to be tallied. We know that financial stressors increase the risk for exposure to violence. Some adolescents may have experienced increased exposure to abuse and neglect, intimate partner violence at home, and sexual violence. School closures due to COVID have meant that most students have been participating in learning from home. This has been tough on parents, children in elementary and middle school, adolescents in high school, and young adults in college. We have yet to learn the impact of inequitable resources, access, and connectivity on the educational attainment of our young people. Some adolescents' trajectories to higher education or to professional athletic status may have been impeded due to lack of continued progress in sports in school. Our lives and the lives of our adolescents and young adults were disrupted in so many ways, including healthcare services. Due to the pandemic, routine adolescent visits suffered, adolescent vaccine coverage suffered, sexual and reproductive health services suffered. I know that I've seen increased feelings of anxiety and depression among my adolescents and my patients. On a brighter side, the pandemic has accelerated changes in healthcare delivery by 5 to 10 years through the commonplace delivery and reimbursement of telehealth services. During the heights of the pandemic, telehealth offered opportunities to keep our patients, their families, and our families and us safe from avoidable exposure. We now have the privilege to be invited into our patients' homes through Zoom for a unique glimpse into their personal space, as discussed by Dr. Amy DeVasta yesterday. Although the benefits of increased access to healthcare offered by telehealth is fantastic, it may come at a price of guaranteed privacy and, by extension, confidentiality for our adolescents and young adults who may stay at home, as discussed by Dr. Bianca Allison. To quote Amanda Gorman, our first National Youth Poet Laureate and the youngest of the 6 inaugural poets, we've learned that quiet isn't always peace, and the norms and notions of what just isn't always justice. And yet the dawn is ours before we knew it. Somehow we do it. Somehow we've weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. We are striving to forge our union with purpose, to compose a country committed to all cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of man. As 2020 has highlighted for most of America, we still have a long way toward realizing equity and justice for all. As we, the trifecta of past president, and president-elect, wrote to the membership, we all have so much to do still. For those of us that live within a minority status, whether it is the color of our skin, or our gender or sexual orientation, we may have wealth and education, but neither our education nor our relative wealth protects us equally. We are all challenged to make SAHM the penultimate anti-racist organization as we seek to improve the health of our adolescents and young adults, and to support each other to create anti-racist environments for the young people that we serve. As we look to the light in our brighter future, SAHM is a part of that brighter future and has a significant role to play. Each of you has a significant role to play. This year, I will encourage further focus on restoring and growing our membership numbers, a continued strategic imperative, a presidential plug. Please pay your dues if you have not already. Please join if you're not already a member. 2, I will strengthen our connections with our usual partner organizations and hope to build new relationships with new organizations. I will continue to support activities that strengthen our membership connections throughout the year. And last but not least, I will continue to support our work in understanding as we strive to create an equitable and just society for our adolescents and for us through our daily work and advocacy. As this year's theme underscores, our roles to transform the future of adolescent health is more important than ever. As we continue to do the work that we do for the greater good, it is important for us to continually reflect on what motivates us. Here is a reflection on 3 individuals that have inspired and motivated me. My father was born in 1920 in a small town, Port Arthur, Texas, my hometown. He became a doctor, a general practitioner, and moved back. Working and living in the same community in New York City has been a continued connection to my memory of my dad. He tirelessly served his community in so many ways. Connecting to our keynote speakers yesterday, my dad fought to stop the avoidable environmental injustice of frequent flooding in our African American community during most hurricane and tornado seasons, which were many. His first wife died in childbirth, and he married my mom. My mom was my queen, and she was also crowned queen of her college before graduating as an English major and becoming an English teacher. She was a gifted singer and musician who played several instruments. She is my inspiration for my love of music and dance. My dad died tragically between my first and second year in med school. My mom lived a vibrant life until December 2019 to the age of 92. Here is a picture of her 90th birthday with my son and my family. The picture occurred 1 month before we lost our childhood home to flooding by Hurricane Harvey. Although it's probably unavoidable, my dad would have been livid. And last but not least, my one and only son, my young adult. Some say my mini-me. They all represent my inspiration and my motivation to do the work that I do. Knowing our motivations, we can find our power. In the paraphrased words of Amanda Gorman, we must find the power to author a new chapter, to offer hope and laughter to ourselves and our adolescents and young adults. Thank you, Sam, for allowing me to serve you. I'm looking forward to a vibrant year.